Hi, this is Paranormal Encounters, and I'm your host, Brenda McGee. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Jean Mandeville, and she is a spiritual medium. Hi, Jean.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
So what I'd like to do is have you tell us about yourself.
All righty. Well, the gift of mediumship had been in my family, and we had had stories passed down, but none of us knew what to do with it. We didn't have a network, and my favorite story is about my grandmother, who in the 1930s had lived on Long Island Sound and was on the shoreline, and she described it as an angelic being appeared over the water and was crying and was talking about of things to come in the world. And this was World War II.
Wow.
And I wish that I had more details to that story. I never met that grandmother in person, although she's around me now. So she had experiences, my mom would have experiences, and we would share them with one another and then just say, wow, that's really neat. Oh. and then just kind of drop the ball.
Right.
So through my introduction to the Spiritualist Church 24 years ago, I had never heard the word medium before. I didn't know what a reading was.
Right.
And becoming involved with that church really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
Oh, wow. Now, did you see spirit when you were younger, or was it when you were older?
If I had experiences when they were younger, I didn't know that they were an experience.
Oh, okay.
So I've thought about it, and just more consciously it happened as I heard of others having experiences and began reading books that I realized what an experience is, which can be very varied with spirit communication.
Right.
So I would say it was 5 years ago that I really started blossoming and opening up. My gifts really began to activate.
Oh, that's great. So what certain things do you do spiritually?
Well, one of my spiritual teachers said, with spiritual gifts, it's like it's a smorgasbord, and there's so many that you can explore, and then you tend to concentrate on a few because, there's only so much time.
Right.
So I found that I had a gift for trance mediumship and working with certain select individuals on the other side and allowing them to speak through me.
So trance mediumship is basically channeling, they channel through you?
Yes. And there's one particular individual that I work with the most for that, and that is one of my spirit guides. Some guides are with us for a lifetime, and some come in and out, almost as chapters of our life, or we're working on a particular thing and a new guide will come in and work with us. Also of focus to me was mental mediumship, and that is sensing which ones of your ancestors, loved ones are around you. I sense a male, female.
Right.
I feel like they passed from congestion within here, giving those types of proof. So I just finished the Morris Pratt course, and my exams for certified mediumship are this summer.
That's amazing.
And then I'm a student minister right now as well.
Oh, great. So you do a lot of different things. Now, I have to ask you this because people have asked me, and I honestly don't know a lot about trance. I know I've seen you doing the trance mediumship. A lot of people are afraid of it because they feel like people are just channeling whoever comes in, but that isn't how that works. Or some people do that?
If you have a good instructor that can teach you, and I coined a phrase called energy signature, that you get introduced to who you'll be working with, and it may be someone that has been a spirit guide for some time, but you're more formally gaining a connection with them, and you learn to recognize their energy signature. And so there's a relationship developed, because certainly it's not a open invitation, come one, come all.
Right.
This
Right.
would not be a good thing, possibly.
No,
So,
no, I don't
no,
think
we're very
so.
particular about who we work with and who we loan space to, or our vocal cords.
So now when you're channeling, are you aware of what's going on, or are you kind of just sleeping?
In a semi-trance state, you're going to have an awareness. Now, I just became certified with hypnosis.
Oh,
And a distinction between hypnosis and trance is hypnosis is linked to the subconscious mind. And trance is both the subconscious and the conscious mind.
oh wow.
So
Yeah.
you'll have a memory. Now, full trance, or as mediumship would call it, direct control, that's a very rare gift. And to work with spirit, it's not necessary to be full trance. Certain individuals have a mission or a purpose. So someone like John of God, full trance medium. And there's others as well,
Right.
where they just go into consciousness and they do not have a memory of what occurred when they come back.
Right. So you pretty much, when you're going into that, you're giving them permission, and then they know when you're allowing them to come in.
My going joke is that my guides know my schedule.
That's great, though, and I like it too, because like I said, I've seen your work and I've seen what you do, and it's amazing that how your voice changes and how you're a totally different person when you're, trans medium.
When I go into trance with Lydia, I get to leave the New England accent behind and all of a sudden sound very posh.
Right.
So she's really wonderful to work with. She's very loving.
So now when you are doing the whole classes and things like that, is there any place that you would recommend that if someone wanted to get into something like that? Do you teach classes, or do you learn from certain people?
I always continue to learn, and I'm always studying, because that way I can have the latest information to bring to my students. I do teach a variety of mediumship development courses, and that would be through the Blue Dragonfly in North Kingston.
Okay, so they could call there or go on their website, and they would be able to get in contact with you through
Right.
that?
And I do gallery circles there where a group can come and I limit the size of the group so that everyone can get a message from a loved one on the other side.
That's great, because people, when they go there, that's what they want. They just want to hear something, and sometimes when the galleries are big, I think a lot of people, get sad when they walk out of there. I mean, most of them are supportive and things like that, but they just want to hear that one little thing that they need to hear.
And even mediums like to get messages.
And it's funny because we were at a gallery in Newport together one time, and the person was brand new, and afterwards I had interviewed them, and I said, that almost all of the people that were in your audience were mediums. He's like, no, I didn't know that. I said, because we don't get our own messages.
And it's wonderful to observe the differences in style and
Everybody's
individuality.
different. Yeah. So now, do you do do you have healing modalities, or is it more of just the mediumship part?
I am also going to become a certified healer. That exam is after the mediumship exams. One exam at a
And you've
time.
been working on that for a while, haven't you? About a year, you said?
They give participants 5 years to do the course, and I did it in a little over 1 year.
Because you're determined.
Because I'm driven. So I liked what I was learning. I liked learning about historical mediumship and how they raised the bar for how good mediumship can be.
Right.
really can be amazing.
And you're learning all the time. And I try to tell
Yeah.
people that you can learn different things from different people. You just don't have to stick to one person, because usually you're drawn to someone.
Right.
And now which church do you,
Well, officially, I'm part of Willimantic Spiritualist Church in Connecticut, but I serve throughout New England.
yeah, because I've seen you go to different churches and things like that.
So, as north as Andover, Mass, in August, I'll be in Onset,
Oh, wow.
Hartford, Old Greenwich, Connecticut, near the New York border. So it's a good
You're
thing I
all
bought a
over.
Prius.
You're all over the place. And are you going to be holding a lot of classes, or is there like a certain month or?
My classes in Rhode Island are at the Blue Dragonfly, and it's not unusual when I visit a church that I do a workshop afterwards.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you've been
Yeah.
all over the place.
I've been busy.
And you said your family members had the gift also?
They did. My mom would say, I think she was in her early 80s, and she woke up one morning and her aunt so-and-so was sitting on the end of the bed, and she described the hair, and that
Yeah.
we just didn't know what to do until we
Right.
found this spiritualist church. So my mom's in spirit now, but she's my biggest fan on the other side.
I always tell people that. I said, family members really want to help you on your spiritual path and want to be a part of it also. Because think about it, when our parents were, our age back then, it really wasn't heard of, all these different things.
It wasn't, and it's virtually part of mainstream America now, and the consciousness is really rising about it. And it does bring so much comfort to people.
It does.
And I look at the experience of when I was in high school, that I had a father and brother die within 2 years of each other. And I look back, and it would have been so good for me to have had a medium to go to receive words of comfort,
Right.
to receive the so-called proof that when we shed the physical form, that we absolutely continue.
Right.
No doubt about it. So I get to bring people the comfort that I wish I had back then.
And it's funny because I think if they had a lot more things now, like my mother passed at an early age, and I was just really started seeing spirit, and it was nice that my mother, acknowledged it, because she was gifted also. But then, she passed away at the age of 50. And it was right when, I was, just starting into things. And then you're right, you wish that, we knew about Reiki, or we knew about different energy healings and things like that. And I always tell people that you don't have to be a certain age to start on your spiritual path. They think that they
Yeah.
have to have gifts that they're born with. And I say, no, you don't have to. You just have to be open to it and want to, open up your heart to it.
Well, many times I get the question, oh, did you have a lot of psychic experiences as a child? And I'll say, not especially. No.
Now, you also said that you work with paranormal teams.
I have done that in Newport, Rhode Island, and what an interesting experience. So when they invite me along, they don't bring a lot of equipment because I'm the equipment. And so they brought me in this huge building in Newport, and I'll go into each room and see what I sense. In one room, I said someone was very sick in here, and they said that a prior time they had picked up on their equipment a sound of a respirator
Oh, wow.
in there. And the second time I worked with them, we went into this attic type room, and they had given tours throughout the day, and there was what I would call an ornery spirit who actually put a scratch on someone's arm
Oh, wow.
during the tour. And then they asked if I would work with that spirit. I said, oh, I'm not so sure about this. Let me think about this a minute. But I felt that it was okay, and I began connecting with his energy, and what I got was that he had been abused badly when he was growing up. And so I said, may I talk to you? I'm so sorry for what you went through when you were growing up. Is it all right if I give you some healing? And there was like one lone light bulb hanging in the room, and it blinked.
Oh, wow.
Of course, the team loved this.
Of course.
And I said, okay. And so I began sending the healing energy, and I could sense that he was starting to cry. And then I felt this shift of energy in the room where he had released anger and sorrow. And I opened my eyes and I said to the team, did you feel that? Did you feel that shift? And all of a sudden the light bulb got really bright.
Wow.
Inside the room. So it's so fascinating. And he felt better. And I talked with the paranormal team that sometimes those teams get attached to their spirits.
They do.
And I say, no, they really need to get some help to be able to fully transition over.
Right.
That's what's right for them. I go, don't worry, you're going to get more spirits. They're going to find their way here to you.
Exactly. And I think that we do that with our team. Any spirit that is there, we cross them over because, you know, some of them don't even realize that they've passed. Or some just need to know that it's okay to go into the light because they might have been told, you know, oh, you can't go into the light unless you've never done anything bad. So you get those spirits. But I do get sad a lot of times when some teams just keep those spirits there for, you know, tours and things like that. And like you said, there's always going to be spirits coming in because they're either coming with the people that are touring or just in general when you're opening things up. There's always residual energy there.
Right.
So I find that fascinating because most mediums don't want to be involved with paranormal teams. Isn't that funny?
Oh,
some
yeah,
are,
it is.
but some of them will be, you know, I don't know, they just. But I love things like that because then you can get a different aspect than what, you know, people can see or hear or experience.
Well, the paranormal teams bring science into this, and it is helpful for science to work along with spirituality.
Right.
And that science brings a different type of proof. So, you know, now there's Kirlian photography that can capture auras.
Right.
Of course, auras existed a long time before the photography came along, but eventually the right technology and proof came along to be able to prove auras. And some people need that type of proof.
Right.
So the equipment that you folks use on the teams provides a way for people to accept that this is a real. We don't pass on to nothingness. We
Exactly.
absolutely continue.
And some people need that visual part or just somebody to tell them that they're feeling this. Or like you said, when you have the evidence, there's no, you know, saying that, oh, well, that's not real when they're there and they're witnessing these things happening.
There's more and more people ready to accept. And with that acceptance brings a lot of comfort.
Right.
It's not the conditions that some people have put on it to be able to pass over fully. Some things just have become very limiting and conditional.
Right.
It's nice to let that go.
Do you feel that, I don't know, the energy is even more stronger? And do you feel like everybody is, especially the children, are seeing a lot more than what they have? And also even
Yes.
people that are gifted to begin with, but seeing more things profoundly and are experiencing things.
I will be in public places and I will hear kids around kindergarten age. One little boy came running out of a bathroom and said, I just saw a spirit boy in there. And it's a public area, so I'm not free to say, I'm a medium, and
Right.
yes, you really did. So So the people around him didn't put him down for it, so I was glad about
that's
that.
good.
And I happened to be right next to him, so I said, "Oh, so what age was he?" 15. He said with like absolute certainty. I go, "How tall was he?" So he held his hand up, and I just wanted to. I couldn't say anything, but I wanted to, in a way, validate the child
Right.
that they were picking up correctly. Then, in another public venue, one little girl turned to another, around kindergarten age, and she said, "I just saw a spirit walk by." and then the adult happens to come around the corner at the time and says, "What? I just saw a spirit." And so the adult just said, "Oh, that's silly," and I cringed a little bit because I want to say, "Yes, yes,
right.
you did just
yes,
see a
you
spirit."
did. You're right. You're right.
So, so absolutely, I'm
Yeah.
seeing that.
And I'm getting a lot of phone calls because people are scared and things like that. And I always told them, especially the children, are getting scared by some of the spirits. And I tell them that as long as you believe them and let them talk to you about what they're seeing and experiencing, that's the most important thing that you can. Because I've had a child where the parents didn't believe in things like that. And they actually, he had to go to Bradley Hospital for a while because they thought that there was something psychologically wrong with him. And they did a full workup and said, there's nothing wrong with him. So then I
I'm
talked
glad
to
that they can diagnose when there's nothing wrong instead of
because
labeling.
they ran all these tests and they would talk to him and things like that. And so I talked to him and I said, I just want to tell you that some people you can talk about things to and some people you can't.
That's a great way to put it.
And you'll know when you can. And I actually talked with the parents and they understood it even more. And now it's so much better for him because they're understanding him, and they just got to know that he's gifted.
And these kids can bring such healing. I had a neighbor who had relatives in New York, and this neighbor's husband had died several years ago, and the mother-in-law was at this family party, and this teenage boy began talking to this mother and went on to describe her son that died and said when you visited him to identify him, you lifted up his arm to put around you. And that was absolutely so. Wow. I mean, his connection with spirit was so good.
Right.
And to give proof like that where no one else was around.
Right.
And the rest of the message to the mother was, the son told this teenage boy, "Mom, you're holding on too much to me, and I can't remember the exact words, but you're interfering with what I can be doing here.
Right.
Please go on with your life, Mom, and let me go." So very interesting. So these kids can graduate to a level like that.
Right.
And really enable someone to, we're here, so we're here to enjoy life.
Exactly.
And fully participate in life. We're not in a rush to be over there, and they're not in a rush for us.
Right.
So we want to live our lives fully. Some of us just happen to have a foot in both worlds.
Right.
So we kind of really like that.
We do. And I try to tell people too that you have to realize that you have control over the situation when it comes with spirit. Like you can say, I don't want to speak right now. Or I only want you to come through when I'm asking you to, or just saying, you're scaring my child. Can you please not show yourself if you still want to be here? But it's just, I always try to tell people it doesn't have to overwhelm you and make you feel like you're
You can
crazy.
have boundaries.
Yeah, and that's what I tell them. You have to set boundaries where you don't want to be channeling 24/7 or talking with spirit. You have to tell them, no, there's a time and place.
Oh, I had a visit from my father in spirit 3 o'clock the other morning, and I thought the TV was on. It was not on.
Yeah.
So as we continue to open up, we continue to refine our boundaries.
Right. And I'm telling you, I know there's a full moon on Sunday, and people are saying I'm not sleeping, I'm going through these things, I'm seeing things, I'm feeling things, and I'm like, just say the energy, please come gently to me, and just don't fight it. People try to fight it. But it is. I think everything is heightening.
So it seems.
I
It
really
feels that
do.
way.
And those that are, like I said, have a little bit of gifts, or they're coming and saying, I'm seeing a whole lot more, and what do I do with this? And that's why I always say, and I love doing this show, is because I can guide them to people with, all right, if you're interested in this, then, seek out who you, I always say, if you have a connection with that person, that's who you're supposed to be with.
Absolutely. And this is how loved ones and spirit guides on the other side work with us as well, is we'll feel kind of pulled in a direction to study a certain thing or pulled to a certain person.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
It is. It's an energetic thing, I think. And again, I want you teach mediumship classes, you do galleries, and you do it at the...
Well, the closest place here in Rhode Island would be the Blue Dragonfly.
And that is a holistic place where
It's a wellness center.
Oh, nice.
And they have yoga and visiting mediums and all kinds of things going on there.
And they probably have like a Facebook page.
Right, and they have a website.
And they have a website, so they can get in touch with you that way also.
And you can always Google my name for the latest church that I'm going to be at. And I have a newsletter as well that the Blue Dragonfly can give out that information.
Oh, that's excellent. And how about private readings? Do you do private readings?
I do.
Get it all out there, right? I want them to know all about you. So you do private readings and things like that, and you do limited galleries. Now, do you just do it at the wellness place, or do you do like home galleries and things like that?
I am open to that.
Okay, because I know a lot of people are really liking to bring things in their home and having friends and it being a casual thing, so that's good to know also.
It's a privilege to meet the different loved ones in spirit. And, the personalities that we have here, we have on that side.
Right.
And some spirits are just so funny.
Yes.
And they love having the opportunity to get a message through. And they really have a small window of time to do it in.
Right.
And it means so much to them because they really do give signs.
Right.
So if you want signs from your loved ones, just ask. Now, some spirits can be very outgoing.
Right.
And I had a friend whose uncle in spirit was just an outgoing spirit. So we would be hiking and we'd stop and we'd be looking at a view and we'd hear the crunching of leaves, of steps on the leaves behind us and turn around and no one there. At one point, the uncle smoked cigarettes. I could smell cigarette smoke in one of my rooms. And the most outgoing sign was I had a vase on my bureau, and the vase traveled slowly across the bureau.
Oh my gosh. Well, Jean, guess what? We're running out of time.
All righty.
Well, I thank you for being here.
I had a great time.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with Jean, they can reach her at the
Blue
Dragonfly?
Dragonfly.
The Blue Dragonfly. Or if you want to get in touch with her and you want to email me, you can email me at paranormalencounterstv9@gmail.com. And thanks for watching.